Before we get started, please take the time to like, add, and subscribe to our pages on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, and iTunes. Also, please leave us a review.
Yeah, the stuff they try and just jam down your throat and say the natives just gave this land. There's a story, and I'm gonna wander our way over, because this is Wandering Ways.
What's Bigfoot possibility?
Clink.
Clink, clack, clickety clack. Hello. Welcome, everybody. It's another wonderful Wednesday. We're here with the Wandering Ways crew, myself, Reverend Mark, and with me, as per usual, the man from Montana. And you thought you knew Montana. He wears a little shell hat. He's part of the little shell tribe. He's that guy. He's Ranger Zach. How we doing, my man?
Great. That was an introduction and a half if I've ever heard one. But I'm all for it. I'm about it. I'm excited. We're back. It's another wonderful Wednesday. We've had some great things coming. We've had some great things going. We've had some great things up and down, all around, side by side. You're up and doing work, getting outdoors, staying active. You said you went swimming and running today. Crazy guy, you. And I'm out here living the dream, trying to figure it out, trying to figure our social medias out. So please, guys, go like, subscribe, add, friend, thumbs up, thumbs down, whatever you need to say to the Wandering Ways crew. Say it on all our social medias.
Exactly. The weather has been a cold out here. So that run I did was actually in the snow. Not gonna lie, I never ran in the snow before today.
That's
First
wild.
time.
Cool.
I know. I was even a little hesitant on it. I asked Instagram. I put a poll up on Instagram. I was like, "Is that too much snow to run?" And there were too many people that were like, "No, that's not enough." So I was like, "Fuck, I guess I gotta run now."
Well, and I mean, what'd you think? First thoughts, initial thoughts.
Actually, it's a lot more fun than I thought it was gonna be. I thought it was just gonna be a shitty run. I went for like 4.5 miles, and depending on like where how much snow is kind of like it's like not packed, but kind of like packed. It's really fun as long and it's not like too high to where your toes are hitting the snow all the time and your feet get wet.
Right.
But other than that, like yeah, I didn't fall, which is big time. I had the over or under set on 2 slips, and I didn't even achieve one, so doing
Nice.
pretty good.
That's great. No, that's great to get outside and get running in the snow. It's fun to be in the snow. I mean, like I told Matt ice fishing, we were ice fishing with him last week. We had him on and we were out there and I'm like, man, you need to come to Eastern Montana where there's no snow on these lakes. Cause at least snow, you have a little bit more traction. You get out, you're walking right straight on ice, that's not fun. I mean, it is fun, but like not fun in the sense of like it's hard to do.
Mhm.
But it's crazy to think because like that's the same thing with driving, right? Like I'd much rather drive on snow than ice.
Oh,
You
100%.
know?
I do not like driving on ice. I'm not a huge fan of driving on snow either. But I'm not a huge fan of driving on snow because I've never driven on snow.
Right. It would be hard and different and out
Yeah,
of your
I
element.
you get some snow on the ground and I'm like, ah shit, gotta white knuckle it. I'm like going a little slow. But you got rain, you get puddles. I'm like, nah, we're good. Let's bust this to like 80 miles per hour on the freeway. A little hydroplane, we'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Just
Right. Write it out. Write it out. The puddle will
yeah,
end.
exactly. But the snow, I'm like a polar opposite. You freeze that rain, and I'm like, nah, let's pass.
Right. No, freezing rain's crazy. Like it's just like when it froze at my parents' house, it looked like it was snow, but it was just like frozen raindrops that formed like
Yeah.
a perfect layer of ice that you're like, you could skate on this.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, not my thing. I'm not a huge fan of the snow ice for driving. It's pretty.
Oh
It
yeah,
makes everything really pretty around here.
driving's not fun in it, and that's one thing with me
No.
and Matt. And we tried to beat the storm, and we did. It's crazy because we were talking about the temperatures dropping. It warmed back up already to 40, 50 degrees here. It is a warm day. It's crazy.
Lucky you. Look at you sitting in the sun belt.
The
I think
sun.
we're sitting at 36.
Oh, that ain't bad.
No, it's not bad, but I mean, it's been hovering like honestly, like it's been sitting between like 40 and 30 for like a week. It doesn't really
Well,
move much out of that range.
I mean, but that's normal. Where like you get like DC, I saw DC, it was 80 degrees there on like Tuesday or last Thursday or whatever. It's wild.
Yeah, I mean, we could go in on and on and on about why that is happening. And if you need an excellent example of why that's happening, just look at Ohio about the beginning of February. It's shit like that. Not that specific incident. But, anyways, no, we are here today to talk about, we're here to continue, not just talk about, but continue our ABCs of the national parks. And we've got a fun one today. I think one of the more forgotten about parks out there, but I think just as cool. It's actually probably only like, oh shoot, maybe like 8 hours from me.
I'd put like 12 on it.
I don't think it's that
Map
much.
it right now. Map it from your
Okay,
house
let's
live on the
well first
podcast.
first let's tell everybody what it is. It's the Channel Islands National Park
So
in the great state of California.
you show that picture. I'll show my picture from our favorite subpar reviews. And they said too many birds.
Too
Too
many
many
birds.
birds. Which I could get. Probably you're at a park. Probably went during the bird season, huh?
Yeah.
But we were like, birds flying around outside. No one told me that would be a thing. Just off the coast of Southern California, Channels Island National Park was established to protect areas of natural and cultural significance, both on the islands within the waters of the area. The Channel Islands are a vital habitat for shorebirds and seabirds, offering a wintering resting area for shorebirds and providing important nesting and feeding grounds for 99% of seabirds in Southern California. So, yeah, that's a lot of birds. Beyond the birds, the islands also have plants, animals found nowhere else on the world. The islands were created by tectonic forces that caused them to rise up out of the ocean. So they're always been separate from the mainland, creating this unique habitat. So kind of, I feel like kind of getting a little bit of that Darwinism out there on those islands in this,
Oh, yeah. There's definite Darwinism going on. Survival of the fittest, evolution, all that fun stuff. Mapped it out. Um, it is down by Santa Barbara. That's the park that's down there by Santa Barbara. And we were both wrong. It's not 8 hours. It's not 12 hours. We're gonna split the diff and go 10.
Oh, so you can do it.
Yeah, I mean you could. I mean, you would want to make it a whole long weekend for sure to do it, but it's very doable. And Santa Barbara, real pretty. Santa Barbara, love me some Santa Barbara. I've been to Santa Barbara. I very, very much enjoyed it.
Well, and it looks like one of those parks. The more and more I'm looking at my books, I don't know if you see me here, if you're watching on the YouTube or Spotify, but I'm reading my books. I'm kind of diving in as you talk. And there looks like almost like you're going to want to put some time into this park, both in the planning stages as well as the just like time there, because you are going to want to check out these different islands. A ranger tip says, different islands offer different experiences. So you're going to get something different on each island. You're going to want to take the time to spend, and whatever that recommended time on each island is. I mean, I would recommend spending it. So I'm like, yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I definitely think planning for this park is, I mean, because they're islands, there's
Right.
5 of these islands out there. So planning is going to be crucial. Of the 5 islands that are within the park, here are the sizes and names of each of the parks here. San Miguel is 9,325 acres. The Santa Rosa Island is 52,794 acres. I'm going to butcher this. I'm sorry. The Anacapa is 699 acres, so it's a small one.
Yeah, but that's
Not
the
as
cool.
small as the Santa Barbara Island, which is 639 acres. And then the Santa Cruz Island, which is the largest island, is sitting at 60,645 acres. Um,
And that
so you
one's
have
right.
a lot of options, but uh, I'm willing to bet, and I haven't looked into it, but I'm willing to bet logistically it's probably a little tough to get to all of them.
Yeah, based on it, I mean, that small one, the Anacapa one, that's where your visitor center is. But there's also a visitor center there in Ventura Harbor, right on the mainland there in California. Um, and I assume you'd have to take boats. They probably have boats that you go out there. It doesn't it? It looks like it only is about 10 miles, 20 miles, maybe that you really start getting into the park from the mainland.
Yeah, it's
And
not terribly far off the mainland there.
so I wouldn't be surprised if there's some sort of ferry system maybe that they have in place. But that Santa Barbara Island, you did talk about that, and that's I think that's the Channel Islands National Marine Sanctuary, the California State Ecological Reserve. There's the Arch Point there, which I think that's one of those famous arches that you see in the imagery. I believe that's where it
Oh,
comes.
yes. It's the one here in my postcard that I
Yeah.
have, I believe.
That was yeah, and the one, the Amber Share one, same. It was the same one, but just a different just a different view. But I mean, it's beautiful, and I think that the more and more I look at it, the more and more I want to go, because they even have an endangered island fox on the island, and they say they're possible to see if you do one of the drives, even.
Yeah. What's fun fact about that island fox is it's like one of very few mammals on the park or in the park. I actually was going to bring this up because this park is actually the first park that we will hit in this ABCs that does not have a black bear.
Oh my gosh! I mean, I guess the Hawaii parks when we get there, but you're right. The first one that we've encountered.
Yeah.
Um, Interesting. I didn't even think about that. I'm also looking at their website here because that's always a good place to start when you go to these places. And they have a good 24-minute long. Obviously, I'm not going to play it for you, but a 24-minute long video about the park. So if you do want to learn more from the park themselves, that looks like I might actually watch it after the podcast, I guess is what I'm saying to Mark. But the mammals, I mean, I see in the pictures here, you got like the sea lions, you got the foxes. Did you figure out any of the other mammals that
So
this
I,
park
I'm
may have?
I'm talking land mammals. I'm not going this marine mammals on this one. But what you're looking at for land mammals on these islands is you got the island fox, which as you mentioned, island deer mouse,
Oh,
the
yeah.
harvest mouse, and the spotted skunk.
Oh, wow. I'm on the yep. Yep, all those ones. They also have some lizards, it looks like, because they classify on the website terrestrial animals. So they include bats and lizards on that same list with the 4 you mentioned. And then they have the marine animals, which is the California sea lions, the harbor seals, the North elephant seals, the northern fur seals, the Guadalupe fur seal, the Stellar sea lion, sea otters, common dolphins, bottlenose dolphins, gray whales, humpback whales, blue whales, and then some of the giant sea bass, the Jill Garibaldi, starfish, lobster. Kind of neat, huh? And then they even have paleo historic animals.
Yeah. Uh, I'm kind of, a little bit of research. I haven't done a crazy amount, just enough to get some facts. But what I'm a big fan about thus far is it really, really kind of feels like this park is here to protect some environment.
The marine
You know,
environments for
the
sure.
marine environment, this island environment, these ecosystems, it very much feels, and I'm all about it. Like no
Well,
questions asked, super excited, all about this.
well, and it sounds that way too, because you look at the islands and the way that they are, and being unique from one another and having those uniquenesses, you do need to preserve that in a way, because those are the most fragile ecosystems in the world when it comes, you know what I mean? Like when it comes
Yeah.
down to that kind of stuff, like there's a reason we need to protect this and have it done right. Um, I'm trying to look. There's a park timeline on the website here to see. But it did look like the Chumash
Well,
people. Go
one
ahead.
of the big things about like this being a park for conservation is this actually has like one of the largest gatherings of seals in the world.
Oh, wow.
So what you're looking at is it involves seasonal gatherings of pinnipeds or seals on the San Miguel Island. Northern elephant seals, California sea lions, harbor seals, and northern fur seals all gather here and are one of the largest congregations of wildlife in the world. So, like the fact that we are able to protect like that for these mammals is totally awesome. I know sea lions and that, depending if you're a big fisher, it can get a little controversial about the predator to prey when it comes to like the salmon. I do get your concerns there, but still, the fact that we're able to preserve this area for them is huge.
Well, and it's interesting because it looks like there's a lot of work that took place to do that preserving. Um, just reading the brief history, the islands in the 1920s were used for possible uh smuggling during prohibition. In the 60s, there was a bunch of boat wrecks that happened real close nearby. There was a lighthouse on there. There was it looks like they established the park in 1980 as the 40th national park, so that's kind of good to know. But like they had to remove sea urchins. They had to start buying different parts of the different islands. They had to get sheep and pigs off the islands. When the island foxes started to decline in 1995. So it sounds like it's been a battle for them to get this park, to keep it the way it is. Like it sounds like we as people have kind of done a good job messing it up.
I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised that we as people have been kind of screwing that one up. We try our best to screw a lot of stuff up.
Right. No, it's interesting. And but you don't have to screw up while you're there. There's a lot to do. I mean, they got the interpretive ranger programs. They have different hikes. They have camping opportunities. They have backcountry camping opportunities. They have picnicking. They have boating that you can do in the area. They have kayaking, diving, snorkeling. You could even fish, go surfing, do one of Mark's favorite things called tide pooling, go on a whale watching tour, go see sea lions and seals, bird watching, wildflower viewing. And then there's plenty of lectures too.
Yeah. Actually, one of the fun facts that I have is you can go kayaking with harbor seals in this park.
That's
Um,
cool.
because I mean, harbor seals are very curious kind of creatures in general. So I'm not surprised that they'll pop up while you're kayaking around. Definitely good spot for whales. I think the fact that I saw is like mid-December through March, there's a decent amount going on there. Whale activity. I mean, whales are migratory. They go north to south. So, you're probably able to see them quite a bit. I don't know. I don't know this the top of my head, but I know you're getting close to where blue whales are seen. So maybe you might be able to spot a blue whale, which would be absolutely wild to see.
Right. No, that would blow my mind, especially how big
Yeah.
they are.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I'm reading a little bit more too, because when you are at these places, you're curious about like access, right? As well. It sounds
Mhm.
like boating is kind of the way to go. Because you can get out there. There's a couple islands you can even dock your own boats at. A couple of the other, like Santa Cruz Island, Santa Rosa Island, San Miguel Island, it sounds like there's possible permits that are needed when visiting these areas. So always check permit systems. But I mean, Wales, man, like you just take the boat right out and go see it right off the park there, especially a habitat like that, because I believe when you have these protected fisheries, the fish know that and they'll come into those boundaries. The fishermen, like they fish the edge of the boundaries because that's where the fish are. They know where they're at. They know where they're protected. And
Yeah.
like you're going to get exactly what you're saying. You're going to get some of those whale encounters right off the coast. And I mean, that's something to do. I mean, I'm sure in that area too, I'm sure in the Ventura area, you're able to even book private tours going out into the water around there. Um, I want to say this is also the Channel Islands is also where they filmed some of like Planet Earth and especially the newer stuff and like the Blue Planet stuff and like the Our Universe stuff. Like I think some of that came from the Channel Islands.
It could very well be. I know the Channel Islands have been used in movies. I don't know which ones or what movies. And then one of the islands or caves in the islands is like an inspiration for Pirates of the Caribbean as
Oh
well.
wow.
So, it's very very scenic spot. So I mean, you can't really go wrong. But one of the a big perk of this park is while it is difficult to get to, there is no park entrance fee for this park. So
That's good to know.
that's always a plus. That you can just go hop on and check out some cool stuff without having to pay that pesky little, well, it's not a pet, I shouldn't say pesky, but you don't have to pay that fee um to get into this park.
That's good. I mean, that's good because it sounds like you're going to have to do work in this park. If
Mhm.
that makes sense. Like I'm reading here where it's like you're going to have to take a boat here and do this, and then you'll have to hike a mile up a hill here to see this beach where these seals like to hang out. I mean, I'm down to do it. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I'm glad you take the fee out in some of these parks, and I've been to parks like that before where they don't charge a fee just because it is covered enough by public funds that we're fine. We don't need like I understand Yellowstone because you do have the vast amount of workers and things that you need to do that way, but like you do get those one parks where it's one or two staff members, and it's like yeah, just let them in. It's fine.
Yeah. And most of this park, roughly 76% of it is actually managed by a private conservation group, as well. Nature Conservancy owns and manages. Oh no, I'm sorry. That's not the park. It's just one of the islands. The Santa Cruz Island. 76% of the Santa Cruz Island is managed by this private nature conservancy. Which you know I'm always wary about it. It sounds like this has been going on for a while, so it sounds like it's a good relationship. I always love seeing when there's a good private and public relationship. But I'm definitely always wary about it when I first hear about it until I do some real deep digging into it. But stories like that, American Prairie, there's always some hope out there. Oh, you hit the mute button, Zach. Sorry,
you're
everybody.
right.
He's saying some great stuff, but he decided to mute himself. That was not me muting him. I don't mute Zach, even though sometimes we should, but he muted himself.
I was sitting there. I didn't want to interrupt you, and I'm sitting there talking here because I was saying that you're making a great point. You always want to be careful, tread lightly with those groups, because you don't know necessarily what the ultimate end goals of organizations like that are. But with the regulations sometimes put in by the federal government, it does help, especially when it comes to land stuff. But there's some interesting history too on that Santa Cruz Island, which might lead to that. Is right here, it says the island is also rich in cultural history with over 10,000 years of American Indian habitation and over 150 years of European exploration and ranching. The Santa Cruz Island, known by the Chumash people as Limu, which translates to into the sea, was home to 10 villages that housed over 1,200 people. Many of these islanders mined extensive chert deposits for making tools and produced shell bead money, used as a major trade item by tribes throughout California. The largest village on the island, as well as on the northern Channel Islands, Swaksili, occupied the area of Scorpion Ranch at the time of the Spanish contact in 1542. Plank canoes called tomos provided transportation between the island's mainlands. Remnants of Chumash civilization can still be seen in thousands of shell middens on the island. But it sounds like the Spanish wanted the island and for their own goods. It sounded like there were people there. They conquered them. They took over the land. Then over time, it sounds like the federal government and different conservation groups saw the importance of these islands and tried to bring them back.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen in some of the facts that there's been a high amount of, different or peoples that are native peoples that are living on the island. So I'm not surprised, that, to hear, and I'm not surprised it's the Spanish that wanted it too. They were out there trying to take a lot of shit, especially on the like west coast of both North and South America, what the Spanish were doing.
Very much so, especially up there in the California area. Yeah, because right here they're talking about they had to there was when they were restoring it, they had to remove the golden eagles, they had to reintroduce the bald eagles and captive breeding island foxes, they had to remove sheep and those pigs. And this is the Santa Cruz Island specifically. But
yeah,
interesting how each island, that's that island, and you're able to even go on to the website here, the national parks website, and click on each island and see what they have.
That's it. It's interesting. I think the most interesting part about like the stuff that we found on this park is truly how much like people have tried to screw these islands up. It just feels like it's been a battle to just maintain the ecosystem that it had. And it's definitely changed because whenever you do something to an ecosystem, it has changed. You're never going to go back to where it was. Now, is it for better or for worse? I don't know, right. I'd have to probably dig into that a bit more, but it seems like we as people really keep trying to screw this one up.
Right. Well, and as you say that, I'm reading that Anacapa Island right here, right? Supports 265 species of plants, including 2 only found on that island, and 20 of those only found in the Channel Islands. The Anacapa deer mouse is only found on that island. West Anacapa is home to the largest breeding colony of California brown pelicans. Their Scripps Molleret colonies are just now recovering from the rat eradication in 2002. Frenchie Ledreau lived in Frenchie's Cove from 1928 to 1956. It was the Anacapa Lighthouse turned on in 1932 was the last permanent lighthouse built on the West Coast. Harbor seals and California seals breed there. Like, you fuck with that, you mess with that, what does that do to all those species, right? 2 of them are to that only island. 2, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, there's a domino effect, I don't think, that we truly understand. And you don't know and you don't understand until oftentimes it's too late.
In need of LED lights for your vehicle? Look no further than our friends at Oxteo, keeping our vehicles well lit while on the road while looking for Bigfoot. Make sure to use code RUGARU, RUGARU, on your next set of LED lights.
Hey there, Reverend. I heard that you might be running dry on your sticker supplier.
Yeah, I've been looking around and I've kind of like run out of cool stickers to buy and put on water bottles and stuff.
Well, I mean, have you seen the stuff Josh has been coming out with lately?
No, I have not.
Well, he is doing some really cool stuff with the Shop LS 574. Yes, they're working with indigenous communities and making some really cool stickers. He has a really cool Buffalo Mountain sticker. There's even water bottles, hats, sweatshirts, the whole swag. And we even got a discount code for you guys. Yes, if you use Wandering Ways at Shop LS 574, you're going to be getting a discount on your next purchase. But not only that, you're going to be giving a percentage of that sale to the Little Shell Tribe, as well as they donate $1 of every sale to murdered and missing Indigenous women. So just such a cool thing going on there. You know, you use the code Wandering Ways, WANDERING and you put that in there, boom, you're getting a discount.
The Wild West is full of dangers, from snakes to bears. The outdoorsman must be prepared. That is why when you experience rivers like the San Juan or the Yellowstone, you must bring a blue ribbon net. Handcrafted and biodegradable, these classic wooden fishing nets are all you need while on the river. Make sure to use code RUGARU10 when checking out at Blue Ribbon Nets. Again, the code is RUGARU10. RUGARU10.
All right, the Channel Islands, I mean, it has a lot of cool stuff. And speaking of cool stuff, or as I like to say, cool shit, it's time for cool shit in nature. I got two wonderful videos. As I normally have at least two of something. But this first one here, I just thought it was kind of cool. It's how flamingos eat underwater.
How they like brush it up. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's just kind of cool to watch them kind of like clatter their beaks like that, just as they go to town on whatever it is they're going to town on.
And that's what makes them pink, right? The more and more they eat, that's what gives them the color.
Yeah, I think it's like a shrimp that gives them that, right?
Some sort of something they're eating.
Yeah. But no, super cool to watch these guys kind of do their thing. In our second one here, this is just it's a lizard.
Yeah, you showed me this.
Yeah. What I love about this is when I first watched it, I was like, what the hell is going on? And then you see the lizard move and you're like, damn, he did a good job at camoing himself.
Right. No, and it makes sense when you walk by trees like that. And like you look at animals like we as humans, right? It's like throw them down on a white table or a black table and look at them and then examine them because you can examine them. But it's like in reality, that's how you should examine him, is like that's him in his habitat right there.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, even after you've watched this and you like know where he's at, right? There's still some parts where it's hard to draw the line.
You'd have to know what you're looking for.
Yeah, you really do. And I mean, he hides himself really, really well in there. But anyways, that's just some cool shit.
Well, yeah, when you first sent that to me, I thought you were just sending me a picture of a tree. That's how good of a job he does. But yeah, I mean, that's cool stuff. That's fun to watch. That's good stuff.
Yeah, 100%. But jumping back into the good old Channel Islands here, I have a fun fact story that I kind of want to read. I thought it was kind of cool. So I like to try and find one real fun, off the wall kind of fact about these parks. So I'm going to share one here today. And here it is a bootlegger leased the Anacapa Island. I know I'm butchering that, and I apologize. But perhaps the least known of the Channel Islands which became part of the Anacapa Island, is home to a bootlegger who leased the island. The Prohibition era began in 1920 with the passage of the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution, which banned the manufacture, transportation, and sale of intoxicating liquors. The Volstead Act was passed to enforce the 18th Amendment, which increased the illegal production and sale of liquor, known as bootlegging. The proliferation of speakeasies, or illegal drinking spots, and the accompanying rise of gang violence and organized crime led to a waning support for prohibition by the end of 1920s. In 1933, the 21st Amendment was adopted and ratified, which repealed the 18th Amendment and thus ended the Prohibition era on December 5th, 1933. Enter Ira Eaton. Now they have the backstory. Enter Ira Eaton and his wife, Margaret. They operated a resort on Santa Cruz Island, which catered to sailors, fishermen, and film crews. Being an enterprising capitalist, Eaton wanted to be able to offer his customers a product which, despite being outlawed, was high in demand. For 10 years, Eaton held a lease to Anacapa Island. He used this lease to provide storage for bootlegged liquor, which he ran into various ports on the Southern California coast after the start of Prohibition in 1999. Fun fact. Actually, kind of a real cool fact, to be honest. It's a little Prohibition gang. Sounds like smart business.
Well, and it makes sense, your island off the coast, you're going to use the territory to your benefits, or the area to your benefits, the surroundings, and makes sense. As many of our national parks are scapegoats in that sense. We do run across some of those stories. I believe it was the pirate down in Biscayne that
Yeah. And then who used Canyonlands as a hideout too?
Yeah.
So
what's his name? Because old man old truck's gonna get mad at us.
I know, and I feel bad. But it's a famous outlaw that used Canyonlands as well, which is sad that I'm not remembering. But no, I mean it adds to the fun part to it, like these areas aren't just about the beautiful views and
Right.
all that. Like there's history to be had there,
and history
across many different peoples as well. There's the native history, and then there's the stuff that we really only hear about in the white history.
Yeah, the stuff they try and just jam down your throat and say the natives just gave this land. There's a story, and I'm going to wander my way a little this way, but you're familiar with Hellgate Canyon, kind of coming in to Missoula there, when you're coming in on the Clarks Fork River, from East Missoula, Bonner area, you're coming into Missoula. Well, I had a white friend in high school, and I'm not going to give his name because if they may listen to the podcast, they might not like that. But he was telling me about how the white settlers would be harassed and murdered and killed in that canyon. And he was like, that's just a bad thing. The natives are mean. And it's like, bro, those are literally people. It's like Russia right now coming into Ukraine and just invading and saying we're going to take this. You're not going to fight them and kill them.
Yeah.
That's what just blows my mind with some people. It's just they justify it. And you're like,
yeah,
you can't justify those histories.
Yeah, people tried to justify a lot of shit. So, unfortunately, that happens. I have another kind of fun fact or story. Maybe we'll even add it to our bookstore, which you can go to. I believe it's bookstore.org/wandering ways. You can check out the books that both Ranger Zach and myself like to read, and you can purchase it yourself, and you can also support a small local bookstore. So it's a huge thing. Make sure the link is in the description. But it is not just a shameless plug for that. The Channel Islands inspired a book and film about the last indigenous native. Though it is not one of the 5 islands comprising the Channel Islands National Park, San Nicolas has its own place in history of these magical islands. Another of the extraordinary Channel Islands National Park facts involves an incredible story of the lone woman of San Nicolas. The native population of San Nicolas was removed to the mainland. Then a story began circulating about a lone woman who remained on the island. In 1850, a Franciscan of Santa Barbara Mission offered a reward of $200 to anyone who could find this elusive woman. It was the adventurer George Nedever of Channel Islands fame who went out as part of a hunting and fishing party, according to Frederick Chills, on the west end of the island that discovered a windbreak made of whale ribs and sticks, which were covered with brush. Inside, to their amazement, was a woman clothed in dress and skins and feathers. She followed the men to their boat, made the trip to Santa Barbara, where she was hailed as a local sensation. Ned Ever took her to his house, where she entertained the locals with sign language and pantomime. Unfortunately, no one could speak her language. Nevertheless, the people who encountered her were fascinated, which was given food. She was given foods that she had not tasted before, which included fruit, meat, vegetables. This would prove to be her undoing, however, as her system was unable to cope. Her story was the inspiration for Scott Odell's successful 1960 novel titled Island of the Blue Dolphins. And in 1964, it was made into a film of the same name. So maybe check out that list. You might see Island of the Blue Dolphins on there. You never know.
That's a cool story. I mean, it makes sense because that native population was like, Helen, like she fucking did it. She stuck it out. You know what I mean? It was like they're all like, you're going to get caught. And she did it, and just some rando. I'm about it. I'm about resistance in that sense. I mean, again, you're being removed from your homelands. What's that like?
Yeah. And the little factoid that I just read doesn't go into a lot of it, but part of me also thinks, like, what if she was just left behind by accident, like you didn't hit her alarm, missed the boat ride back to the mainland type deal. And she's like, yeah, you know what? I'll just kind of do my thing.
Right. And then ultimately, I find it funny because even the Anglo-Saxon, the European writing of the story and saying how they're blaming the food that killed her. Who's to say it wasn't the diseases that of contacting Europeans for the first time?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it could be a combination of both type deal.
Was allergic to the papaya.
I would find it hard to believe that like fruits and vegetables, while it very well could, because that does a lot of people in, but typically it's because that stuff that they're eating is bad anyway,
Right. And it was maybe an allergic reaction to something too.
100% there too. So
but that's a cool story. I'm appreciative. I like when you look out for those stories to share with us.
Yeah, it's kind of a fun one to it's something I don't think you hear a lot about when you look up these parks, is these fun things, whether it's a bootlegger, a pirate, or somebody who's just kind of just being them on the island, probably just wanting to be left alone.
Right. And that's what's interesting too. Because you do come across that in these places of people that just want to be left alone. And there's a lot of people that are like that. It's interesting. It's interesting how we as a society it's like don't want that for people, you know. We want what we think is best for others. But I don't know. I think the Channel Islands, there's a lot more to them. There's a lot more history to them there. Looking at the history, you can learn about the park on the website. You know, they have the history and the culture tab. Um, is that it's not even the Arlington man, huh?
The Arlington, what's the Arlington man?
It's a story.
I am not familiar. Why don't you enlighten us on the Arlington man?
Okay, when you click on the tab, it says Arlington Springs, the earliest evidence of Paleo Indians in coastal California. Arlington Springs man broke into the news following the 5th California Island Symposium at the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History in 1999. Newspapers, magazines, television news, and radio programs around the world reported on what was arguably the earliest dated human remains in either North or South America, using small fragment of a human femur discovered by Phil Orr in 1959 on Santa Rosa Island. Modern techniques of bone protein analysis and radiocarbon dating indicate that Arlington Springs man lived some 13,000 calendar years ago. Only one other find in North America, a child burial now from the now destroyed Anziak site in Montana, has ever been dated to the earliest age. And that kid in Montana, it was they take them back to the Clovis people who are in they came over on the Bering Land Strait, that they say, the Bering Sea Land Strait. The Clovis people, that's the first natives. Arlington Springs man lived at the end of the Pleistocene area when when 4 northern Channel Islands were still united together as one mega island, and the climate was much cooler than today. The evidence that the people had arrived on that island 13,000 years ago demonstrates that watercraft were used along in California coast that early date and lends support of a theory that the earliest peoples to enter the Western Hemisphere may have migrated from the Pacific coast, from Siberia and Alaska using boats. Recent radiocarbon dating by Dr. Larry Angiobrod from a pygmy mammoth fossil in the Santa Rosa Island suggests that the last of these 3 unique mammals have been presented on the island at the time of the first humans arrived. So basically, it's dating them back to the Ice Age.
Oh, nice. There you go. Love it. That's a good spot to go because we are reaching our time. We're at that point. I gotta be that guy. It is now time for final words. So final words, my guy.
I almost wish I had more for this park because I feel like that's like going there. You're going to get so much better experience going there, reading about it, looking at the maps, looking at kind of what it has to offer. Definitely going to have to put your time into it. You're going to have to put some thought into it. I think there's a lot of good adventures and memories to be made there. I'm down to go. I definitely want to go now, talking about it and looking at it. I'm like, okay, Smuggler's Cove looks kind of fun. Potato Harbor, what's that about? Like, why not? Like, go explore this world. Life's too short. If you got the money, you got the dollars, you got the skrilla, y'all, just spend it. Go to Iceland, go to the Chanel Islands. You have a great time. Is it Chanel or Channel?
I think it's Channel.
I do too. I know. I'm just saying Chanel, like the brand,
Yeah.
But we're good. I am happy. I think you need to be happy, wanderers, and you need to keep on wandering. So, Reverend, I'm going to hand it back on over to you.
Reverend's final words of wisdom. Stay beautiful, everybody. I can't tell you how much I appreciate every single one of you. And I really actually appreciate all of these ABCs that we do, because we do these parks, or at least the parks that we've done so far. We'll do these ones that I don't really know about, or two, I've heard and I've just never really looked into. And I look into it and I go, holy cats, this is actually a dope place. Like I kind of want to go now. Happened what with Big Bend, Biscayne, this one, the Channel Islands, that moves up on that list of places I kind of want to go. I just want to go to them all, to be fair. But there's a lot of these where I'm like, before I'd be like, whatever. And now we do the ABC and I'm like, no, I think we actually got it.
It makes sense that they're like, let's call it a national park.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like questioning that
Exactly.
designation.
Exactly. But no, anyways, Channel Islands, another one of the ABCs, knocked out. It's super cool. We love it. We love all of you at Wandering Ways. Make sure you love, like, subscribe, all that. Hey, that's basically the same picture, ain't it?
It is. It's that book. It's the same book.
Yeah, there you go. But that being said, peace out, everybody.
Bye.